Hello and welcome to the Magical Midlife Podcast, where you get a refreshing, uplifting and optimistic perspective on life in your 40s and 50s. I'm your host, Lindsay de Swart, and I'm delighted that you've joined us here today, so let's jump right in. Hello, and welcome back. It's Lindsay here today, and I am delighted because today's guest is a very old friend of mine. And I don't mean that she's very old, but I mean our friendship's very old. Amber Sandquist, who is our guest today, is, funnily enough, we met at language school in Sweden 25 years ago, which is a bit of a shocker, isn't it, Amber?
It is, totally. It's crazy.
Indeed, and we've reconnected, and Amber has been traveling such an interesting journey and now has some conflict about calling herself an artist, although when you hear her story, you're going to challenge why she challenges herself calling herself an artist, because she is so most definitely an artist. So Amber, welcome to the Magical Midlife. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lindsay. It's an honour.
Oh, it's just so lovely to reconnect and to chat with you. So today I'm going to grill you, okay? I'm going to grill you about everything that's happened and all of your world travels, because they really sound so exciting.
All right.
So tell us about where you're from originally and where it all started.
Okay. So I am from Melbourne in Australia. I'm currently living in Los Angeles with my husband and my two kids. So my husband's Swedish and he's a filmmaker. And my kids were born, one was born here, one was born in Melbourne. And we have lived in Los Angeles for the most part of the last 18 years, I would say. We flew back for a couple of years to have Scarlett there, my youngest, in Australia when there was a writer's strike. And then we came back a few years later after we got a green card. And we actually attempted to move back home 6 months ago to Australia and didn't really succeed. So we came back 6 weeks ago. Moving during a pandemic probably wasn't the best idea I've ever had, but we gave it a shot. And, I think we have some unfinished business here in LA. So I'll tell you more about that. But this is where our work is right now. And this is where the kids really have their foundation. So, yeah, it was a difficult decision to come back and to go. So now we're back for who knows how long.
Fair enough. Okay. Nothing is permanent. Yep. That's what I always tell people. Nothing is permanent.
Exactly.
So I'm going to ask you to wind it back a little bit, because when we met, the next step, once we both parted company, when we both moved away from Sweden, or I said, I can't remember which of us moved first, but anyway, when we moved away from Sweden, and then the next step, I think, did you go off to do makeup artist work?
I did. So when I met you in Sweden, we were both learning how to speak Swedish. I had just moved there from Melbourne. I guess I'd already been there maybe 6 to 12 months before I met you. And I think I was 26 at the time. I'm 48 now. I had dabbled in post-production in Melbourne. I had a great job at a post-production studio where we did titles and credits and animation. And so I'd done that for a couple of years. Before that, when I was 21, I completed my Bachelor of Education. And on my final year of that, I traveled to New Jersey, where I got to do fine arts and photography and film, which I hadn't really done since high school. So that kind of opened my eyes up. There was a whole world that I would be missing out on if I didn't pursue something in that realm, whether it was then or later on, which is what I'm doing now. But it took me 20 years to get to where I am now. But I had to go home and tell my parents, I don't want to be a teacher in a classroom. And they're like, okay, great. What are you going to do? And so when I was 21, I sent letters out to film companies because I had met a group of friends in Montclair in New Jersey. One of them was my now husband, Simon, who kind of showed me a different way of life in that we went to New York every weekend to see shows, and I was in their films and they helped me shoot mine in Montclair. And anyway, long story short, I came home and I sent my resume to film companies and I got a job as a PA and as a receptionist at a film company. Anyway, so cut to 6 or 7 years later when I met you, that's what I had been doing, working in kind of production assisting and advertising and stuff like that. So when I met you, I didn't know how to speak Swedish. And as you know, it's very difficult to get a job in Sweden without speaking Swedish.
Yes.
So we were there just learning the basics.
Yes.
I eventually got a job editing on a Swedish soap opera. Do you remember me getting that job? I don't know if you knew me when I did that.
I don't know. I remember that. That's hilarious.
Oh my God. It was the worst soap I've ever seen. But
how do you edit when you're still learning beginners of the language?
Well, I was doing okay at that point, but I did call Simon in a panic almost every day saying, what is this word? I cannot, it doesn't even come up on my Google or whatever we had back then to find the word. But I was mainly editing music and sound.
Okay.
But I still had to understand where the scenes started and ended, what they were talking about, anyway. So after doing that for 6 months and getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and it's really cold in Sweden, and getting off at the wrong train station and just to do this job, and I thought, okay, there's got to be something else that I have to be doing, that I should be doing.
Yeah.
So one night when I was talking to Simon's cousin, she was talking about doing a makeup course, and she was always very arty and creative. And she said, but the only thing is it's a prosthetic course and it's back in Australia.
Oh.
So I thought, well, I've been here a couple of years. I'm really cold. I think I want to go home for a while. So I talked to Simon and I think I just pretty much decided overnight I need to do something with my hands. So I left. I stayed with my friend that I had a best friend since primary school that I'd been in and out of touch with in the last few years, and I asked her if I could stay with her parents while I did this prosthetic course. Simon and I didn't break up. We were just said, okay, I'll see you in 6 months when this is done. So I went back there. I loved it. I loved getting back into art, which I said I hadn't done really since my final year at uni. And before that, I forgot to tell you, I failed art in year 12.
I know. I love this story.
I think I got a D. And
wasn't there some teacher being a bit disparaging as well?
She just wasn't guiding me on what I should be doing. So I really painted faces even back then, but someone didn't like them and they gave me a D. I got 59% for art, and I thought that would be my highest grade, and it was my lowest. So I was pretty deflated. So you can see why I went off and did a Bachelor of Education and I just ignored art because I thought, well, I must suck at it. So
I'm surprised.
Anyway,
I was going to say, I'm surprised you went anywhere near education, because if a teacher kind of kills your passion that convincingly, I'm surprised you didn't have like some vendetta against teachers in the future.
Yeah, that's funny. But I was always good with kids, and I thought,
fair enough.
Maybe, and my parents just thought, because I was a bit lost. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of gutted that I didn't do well at anything creative. And so I thought, well, I don't know. I was doing a lot of musical theatre at the time, but I thought, I'm not going to go anywhere with that because you have to be at like the top 1%, and I was just a chorus girl and I was enjoying the ride. But anyway, so I thought this was a great opportunity to do something with my hands and get back into painting. And so I studied in Queensland under this guy that won the Oscar for his Braveheart makeup.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah, he was a really cool teacher, and I don't think it's there anymore, but it was really awesome. And I met some girls that I'm still friends with now, and I guess I was 28, 29 when I did that. Nice. And I knew that Simon was thinking about moving to the States because he'd done really well in his film career so far, being 29. He was young, but he'd done really well. And he was about to get representation in Los Angeles and get an agent and a manager. And I thought, well, I have to figure out something to do. So that was half the reason why I went and did this makeup course.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the year after, we ended up moving to LA straight after we got married. We decided to get married, and we're married in a few months after my makeup course, and moved here. And I got started on student films and did the crappiest shoots ever. I did horror. I did a bit of everything. And I just remember I did, all night shoots for days and days, and for $50 a day. And
wow,
we just had to do anything we could to survive here, because even though he had a manager and an agent, you just scrambling for gigs.
Wow.
It's an expensive town to be in.
Yeah.
And we knew 2 other people here. And I just remember thinking, I was really overwhelmed with everything. I just thought, okay, I've just lived in Sweden for 2 years, and Brisbane. I've been away from my family for 3 years, and now I'm in LA. Don't know anyone. Okay, I've just got to go and get work as much as I can. So that was kind of chapter 2, after being in Melbourne and Sweden and then here. And I guess I did makeup for a while. I did it. I ended up doing a lot of corporate shoots, headshot makeup, because that's what paid the bills the most.
Yeah, fair enough.
I did lots of sketchy jobs that got me walking to my car in, East LA at 4 a.m, which I should not have done. When I look back, my kids will never do that. Because, they might, but I
not that you'll know about anyway.
So I did, a lot of strange shoots, and Simon kept getting, a few writing gigs here and there, and enough to get us to survive for the next, I would say, 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we were here. We had Oscar here. As I told you, we moved to Vancouver when I guess we'd already been here 3 or 4 years. Simon shot a movie in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And then I picked up the paintbrush again because I had 4 or 5 months to myself. I did a photography course, but I never really thought about pursuing painting or anything as a career. It was always just kind of relaxing and something to do that I never really thought could lead to anything. So I kept doing makeup. I did makeup right up until I was 7 months pregnant with Oscar, and then I was too fat to move. So he was a really big baby. So I picked up the paintbrush and just dabbled at home. And again, leading to nothing. I just hung a few around my house, and everyone's like, oh, I didn't know you painted. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, it's just something I do. I don't know. I did it when I was younger, and still having that art teacher in my head going, this sucks, you suck.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know. But makeup's been a steady gig that has got me through, some really tough times, because it was a really social job, and I painted in some form, and I thought, all right. I did a bit of hair. My dad's a hairdresser, and he taught me how to do a bit of hair while I was in Melbourne. I think while I was pregnant with Scarlett. So, that basically got us through the last 15 years until almost COVID hit, a couple of years before COVID. So I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Well,
I probably have in more ways than one.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, this is just fascinating, because so many people think, oh, Hollywood lifestyle and Los Angeles, it must be so glamorous and all the rest of it. And clearly that might not be the case.
Not when you're just starting out. No way. And you're in your late 20s, and it was fantastic, but I didn't know what to expect. And we were just going from month to month, really. It was we didn't know what we had up against us when we got here. And we didn't have a green card when we got here. We had his visa. And I was just doing some cash in hand jobs. And so I couldn't really even get a makeup job on a TV show, because I had to kind of lay low. So, and making friends on film sets, people think it's easy. It's really not, because you see only a certain amount of people for that 7 days, and then you move on, and then you do a photo shoot, and then you move on, and then you do headshots. And then, so I didn't really make decent friends until I had kids, because of course, as you know, you join a yoga class and you make mummy and me friends, and so that's when I really started to enjoy LA. I have to say, before that, I dreaded coming back. Every time I left Australia, I'm like, oh God, we have to land here again, and oh, it's so gross. And Yeah. So, I mean, perception is everything. Now I love it for different reasons. I like the pockets of the creative people, and I love that people understand the freelance lifestyle here. And I love that my friends are sometimes in the same position of having husbands who are not always around and are on different jobs in different countries. And there's comfort in knowing that that's normalized in a way. And you don't feel like you have to conform to a certain way of life when you have friends in your community that go, oh, cool. All right. Yeah, Simon's off editing this, or you're off painting a mural for 3 days, or So, but I have to say, it's taken me a long time to really love being here. And it's not for everyone, that's for sure. It is a concrete jungle, but there are pockets of magic that you just find, usually by meeting the right people or being in the right situations. And that, it's about the people for me, and it's about being able to be creative. So,
so what have you learned about yourself? Because there are obviously so many times, as you say, you were going month to month, you were in a place that, certainly a lot of times doesn't sound like it felt like home or was an easy life. So what did you learn about yourself in the process?
I think you have to have endurance, and you have to believe that your passion will eventually bring you to a place that you can actually make a living if you love it enough.
Yeah.
And Simon is such a good example of that, because he's editing day after day other people's projects, but he's always wanted to go back to shooting his own movies, which he hasn't done for a while, because you fall into a pattern of earning money for your family and being that responsible adult and getting that paycheck. And even though he's working in the realm of what he wants to do, leaving for Australia has forced him into doing what he loves doing. He went to do a shoot in Sweden while we went to Australia, and he's getting back into being on set, which is really good. But even when he was editing, he would get up at 5 every day to work on his own scripts and stuff. So watching someone like that is a great example for me and the kids when I'm being really lazy. But but I think right now I've come to a place where I have to acknowledge that, yes, I am a full-time artist and a painter, and everything that I've done in my life has somehow led me to this amazing, lifestyle of being able to create paintings and pieces on clothing. And I haven't really told you what I do on this podcast yet, but
yeah. I want to ask about that, because the stuff that you do, that's how we reconnected, because I saw the work that you were doing. I saw it on social media. And because that was a side of you I never knew, I was like, holy cow, has this lady reinvented herself? And as it happens, you haven't reinvented yourself. You kind of just let yourself out.
Yes, exactly. And, it happened on a shoot one day when I had been driving an hour and a half to get there in Newport Beach. And I was working on a job that I just kept wiping sweat and reapplying the same lipstick on this person that was just giving me a hard time all day. Oh. And I was just like, on the way home, I was like, there has to be something else than this. There really has to be something else. So I think I saw some jackets with some paintings on the back. And I thought, that can't be that hard. It cannot be that hard. And they were overly priced, like $500, $600, $700, $800. And they were really cool and really amazing. And I just thought to myself, I have to do something. I have to do something. So I think I spoke to my friend about it, and I said to her, you know what, I'm just going to get a jacket out of my closet tonight. I'm going to paint it. And I don't even know what it is. Cool. So I got a denim jacket, because I love denim. I got a denim jacket out of my cupboard, a cheap one, in case I stuffed it up. And I painted something on the back. I think it was just a pair of lips or something. And at midnight, I texted her the painting, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! You need to start selling this." And I'm like, "Calm down. It's not anything great, but I wanted to send it to you because you made me accountable and you told me to send you a picture, so I did." And that started a whole new level of excitement that I thought, right, okay, I'm going to wear this and see if I get any reaction from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I wore it to drop off the next week. And I got an order straight away. Oh,
to drop off at school?
I drop off at school, that I dropped my kids off, and I hung out and talked to the mums there. And yeah, within a day or two, I think I had maybe 2 or 3 orders on denim jackets. And I thought, okay.
Cool.
And then it kind of just spiraled a little bit from there. And that was 2018 or 19.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a couple of years before COVID hit, and I was kind of just testing the waters, but I still didn't think this would lead to anything. I just thought, well, this is a good little hobby.
Yeah.
And then my friend, she used to sell jewelry. So she said, look, why don't we do a street fair together, and I'll do my jewelry and you put your jackets up and some of your paintings. And I'd had a few paintings laying around, and I thought, okay, well, it's a good test to see what, if I even have an audience. So we set up, and I think I sold 7 or 8 pieces that day. And
wow.
And I think that put me into action. Like, all right, I got to start doing this. And I think I just painted skulls on the back of sweaters, and I painted just lips, and then I did some lyrics of songs on the back of jackets, and then I took requests of personalized gifts like little butterflies for kids and unicorns and stuff like that. And then and then during COVID, I did some RBG jackets, which I sold about 5 of those just by posting one on Instagram. And
wow,
I wore one down the street on Ventura, and someone bought it off my body. She offered me money in the street. And that's when I thought, okay, maybe there's something in this. I'm a slow learner, Lindsay. I'm a slow learner. So
seriously, I love that story.
Yeah, so then I started getting my own style of portraits with kind of an abstracty splattered kind of effect on them. Mm-hmm. And I just loved, I looked at different people. I copied different people off YouTube. I just copied until I got my own style, because you don't learn until you keep, if you don't have any ideas, just copy someone else's, because yours is going to look completely different to theirs anyway. That's my theory.
True. Yeah, you're right.
Because after I read Steal Like an Artist, that changed everything as well. It's a great book.
Oh,
and
really?
It's a very
do you know?
Great question. It's just
but it's Steal Like an Artist.
Yes. And like you, I'm really into reading and listening to motivational books, mm-hmm. from I think I read one the other day, From Homeless to Billionaire or something like that. That's a really good read.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the other ones, but I've been kind of just on a binge during COVID. But yeah, it's I think you just need encouragement, and I think I got that from the community of friends that I had at school. And luckily I've got a big circle at the school drop-off where I took mm-hmm. the kids. And my family have always been there to say, yep, do it, go for it. And my daughter helped me set up the street fair. And she loved just watching me sell some stuff, and it's inspired her with her own little baking business and stuff. Simon has been nothing but supportive, and my parents, they are so enthusiastic, and I think they just kind of look at me like, mm-hmm, okay, just let us know what you're doing next. They were at my art show last year. They came to LA and they came to the gallery where I had an art show last year, and that was really exciting.
Yeah.
So now I've done a lot of large scale paintings.
Tell me about that, because you were saying about one commission that you got, which was enormous, and that was something that you really enjoyed. So how did that come about? Because to go from jackets to enormous murals.
Yes. So as I got my style on my jackets, the splattered kind of, I got one woman requesting a jacket that looked like a tattoo sleeve. And so I kind of incorporated that into a painting one night. So I'll tell you a really quick story. where I lived last year, it was only last year this happened, my neighbor was taking out this huge old painting from her parents' place who live next door to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a big brown tapestry that it was pretty ugly painting. She won't mind me saying that. It was a tapestry, not a painting. And she was lugging it to throw in the dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the frame was this beautiful big brass frame on it. And I yelled at her, "Stop, where are you taking that?" And she's like, "Oh, this piece of crap has got to go. It's been in my parents' living room for 100 years. It's got to go. It's a piece of," yeah. So I said, no. Can I please have that? It's huge. It's amazing. I mean, it's probably 2 foot by 4 foot, 4 feet.
Okay.
So anyway, I made her lug it with me back up the stairs to my apartment, and Simon was like, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "I don't know, but there's something underneath and I need to figure it out because the frame is too beautiful."
Right.
So I ripped off the tapestry. I covered it in the New York Times that week, which was pretty dark. It was all about the Black Lives Matters articles.
Right.
But I started with that. It was basically a piece of cardboard behind this tapestry. So I put a whole lot of articles. I spray painted it. I did graffiti all over it. I was doing that till 4 a.m, and I had to just go to bed because I was probably high on paint fumes. And then I got up and I thought, okay, I have to do a portrait on top of this because this is, I mean, on that old frame, this is looking weird. So I need to put something on it. So I found I found a black and white photo of Dolly Parton, who I've always loved.
Yeah.
And I did an outline of her face over the top of the graffiti. And I think that's when I started to get a really cool style because I did this in the next night and I worked again till 4 a.m. and I got up and I thought, I don't know what I've done, but this is really cool. Mm-hmm. So I put it on Instagram and all of a sudden that blew up. Because you've got a lot of Dolly fans out there. Plus, it's just a really cool. It's just a graffiti mixed with a portrait type of style. But anyway, so it sat there for 2 months, and I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. It's too big to hang anywhere. I don't know what to do. So it sat there for a while until Scarlett said to me, "You know, our librarian at school is best friends with Dolly Parton." I'm like, "Oh, I remember that."
No way.
Yeah. So so it was a long shot, but I sent, Miss Franny is her name. I sent her a picture of the painting that I did and she freaked out. So I said, "Look, I know you're friends with her and I would love someone to have it," because that's when we decided to move back to Australia. So I wanted it to go somewhere, you know, where it was protected and I didn't know how to sell it. I didn't really know what to do. So she came with her husband the next day and she started crying. I don't know whether she was crying because she was happy to be out of her house during COVID or whether she was really happy to see the painting. But anyway, she said, "Oh my God, I've got to show Dolly. She's going to love this." And I just thought, really? I don't know whether she knows Dolly. Maybe she's just making me feel better.
That's quite scary.
You know, it's Hollywood. Everyone says they know everyone. I don't know.
They?
So, well, sometimes, you know, knowing someone could mean I know him through someone. So anyway, so she had a pickup truck the next day ready to take it because I said, "Look, it's yours." She said, "How much do you want for it?" I said, No, I'm giving it to you because I just did it at the spur of the moment and I don't know what to do with it. And I want someone that I know to have it, to know that she might see it one day. If she does, that would be great. So she took it home and then she was just so thrilled. And she said, "I'm going to make sure she sees it." And anyway, I'd not forgotten about it, but I went to Australia and we moved there. We moved all of our stuff. We packed up everything. We moved there. This was just 6 months ago. And I got a text at 4 a.m. saying, she said, "I sent the painting to Dolly and she loved it and she wants to know the backstory behind it." And so I sent her an email. And when I came back here, I said, "So when am I going to come and see this painting in your house?" And she said, "Well, I'm getting the room repainted. I'm getting a new couch and I'm decorating this whole room around this painting. So when I unveil it, I will invite you over.
Wow.
I wanted to add, by the way, I need to meet Dolly Parton. So could you just throw that in the mix? So I'll just got to keep pressuring her. But I figure you have to put stuff out into the universe and don't expect anything back. And I feel like stuff like that, I feel like people need to just stop thinking about the money so much, as it was an experiment that I did, and I probably could have charged her money for it and she probably would have paid, but I was happy for someone who actually knew her to have it, because from that painting I got 3 more commissions just from Instagram.
Wow.
And so I got a couple more. No, I got one of Marilyn, and I did a couple of others, can't remember what they were, but then when I went to Melbourne, I think just posting my videos of me drawing eyeballs and stuff like that, which I do very randomly. But a friend in Melbourne, after not talking to her for 15, 20 years, commissioned me to do a massive Kate Moss for her bedroom. And also a friend from school commissioned me to do a Deborah Harry for her front entrance. She just bought a house.
Wow.
So, and I also sold an Audrey Hepburn while I was in Melbourne as well. And, all of that, selling those paintings got me back here, surprisingly enough. And I do believe that you have to put things out into the universe to, just to say them out loud. Like, I need this to happen. Or if I'm going to have a goal, I need to put every single thing into it to make it happen, and something else will happen from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't just think, well, I've got to earn that to pay the rent, because that will come. And I know everyone probably knows that, but I really do think if you love something enough and you just keep doing it and get excited about it, and I don't know, I'm just happy that my kids have seen me do this, because they've seen me do it in my mid-40s, and it's a weird thing to do. It's not a huge switch from painting someone's face to painting a wall, but it kind of is when you make it your own business and you're doing it for home.
I guess it kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, and your lounge room is just covered in paintings, and they're trying to eat dinner next to all your paints and stuff like that, In the beginning, you don't have a studio, and I've come back and I still don't have one now. So I just have to make do with what I've got and figure it out along the way. So we will see what happens next. But I think I've inspired them, which is good. But, having a supportive family obviously has helped.
Yeah,
1,000%.
Absolutely. So I do have a question for you, though, because normally I say, what do you still want to do? Mm-hmm. So is there anything in particular that you're particularly inspired to do at the moment? It's your next thing. What is, are you happy to share it, or is it top secret?
Yes. No, I spoke to a friend a couple of days ago, and she's an actress, and she also sells makeup on the side, because during COVID she couldn't go and get an acting job.
Yeah.
And she was the one that said to me, dude, you should be putting your drawing and painting videos on YouTube. And I know everyone's got a YouTube channel, but also I know that for instructional painting and stuff, this could be a good thing for me to do. So I'm going to go down that path, because I love shooting time-lapsed, painting and drawing and that kind of stuff. I mean, the amount of people that have asked me for a time-lapse drawing of an eye or an ear or a nose or a mouth, something that I really take for granted because I've drawn them a lot.
Yeah. And
they're really hard to draw. So if you, but even abstract paintings and, portrait paintings and stuff, that's how I learned. So if I can inspire other people to learn from my mistakes, I think I have to switch from putting them up on Instagram where, I can't make any money doing that. I need to start branching out a little bit. I don't particularly love talking to the camera, but on that platform, I think I'm going to have to a little bit. But yeah, I would love to even host painting classes at home for adults. But yeah, I'm thinking about a lot of stuff, even art therapy for kids I've thought about. But then again, you need a space to do it. So I'm trying to work within the boundaries that I've got at home right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do have a final question for you, because I know we're on school pickup timing and all that sort of thing.
It's all good.
Because that's what we do as mums.
Yes.
My question for you is, when we started the conversation and you'd said about, well, you know, and I said, well, how do you want me to introduce you? And you said, well, you know, I'm kind of might be an artist. What is there in there about your story that you would doubt that actually you're an artist and a painter?
Well, as I said to you, I guess the doubt was planted years ago. And that's what I hate about, you know, high school teachers and teachers in general have such a big impact on kids. And I'm not really officially trained, but I guess that's what makes me feel like I'm not actually qualified. But the years of experience I know has qualified me. But I feel like I have so much to do and I have so much to learn. But I know what you're saying. I just hope that my kids and anyone out there have learned a lesson. Just, you've got to go with your gut and your heart and your passion, because teachers don't realize. And, you know, she might have not even been the one to have given me a D. It probably went to a panel and they didn't like what I did, or whatever the story was. You're just drawn back to what you're supposed to be doing anyway. If you keep looking, you will come back to where you're supposed to be. Yeah. It's my theory anyway. But no,
do you feel that you're on path now? Do you feel like you're on the right track? And that
I feel like I'm really on the right track. Yes, I do. I love what I do, and I'm so happy to be able to do it. And I can still be there for the kids. And yeah, I do love learning about what other people are doing in the art realm every day too. So I would just say to people, just look at other people's work and incorporate it, and you'll get a style all of your own, and you'll figure it out. But
yeah, fantastic. Oh my goodness. So if people want to see some of the work that you've done, because it sounds just so unique and I've seen it and it's beautiful, where can they find you? On Instagram or on Facebook? Or
yes, probably Instagram is the best. Just my full name, Amber Sandquist. It's just one word on Instagram.
Okay. And that's where they'll find your paintings.
Yes, exactly. I closed down my website because I had more work driven from just posting from Instagram. So and all my denim was on a website, but I think for now Instagram, and they can contact me for commissions or just take a look at what I do, or I'll put some more videos up there pretty soon.
Fantastic. Now, one last thing. On Instagram, is your categorization, what have you called yourself?
I've called myself an artist, Lindsay.
Yay!
Okay.
Yay! I love that.
I'm trying not to cringe. It's great.
I'm trying to get you to say it out loud so many times so that you actually start to believe it yourself.
Fine. I'm going to hang up now. I'm getting sweaty talking about it.
Oh, bless your heart. So, Amber, thank you so much for being with us today. And it's just...
Thank you.
Oh, it's glorious to catch up again. And
I know. It's the beginning of something new, Lindsay. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy this has taken off for you. I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you. And thank you for being a part of it.
Anytime, my love. All right. Well, take care of yourself.
And you. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed the conversation, please come and leave a review. If you go to the Apple Podcasts app and scroll down to the bottom of the podcast page, and then you'll find the ratings and reviews section. Please invite your friends to come and listen by sharing the link. And you can join the conversation and let me know who you'd like to hear interviewed and what topics you'd like discussed over at Facebook on the Magical Midlife group. You can also find me on Instagram at Lindsay de Swart, where the conversation will also continue. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. And once again, keep living your magical midlife.